So apparently, NBA star Jalen Green has gotten some ink done with Draya Michelle's name on him. I'm not really surprised. This is something that a typical 22-year-old would do, especially a male. They are very impulsive and short-sighted and don't really think things through. Because I think it's very highly unlikely that they're going to be together forever. So I would never recommend getting a tattoo of someone you're dating or even someone you're married on your person. You can do your kids, you can do your parents, your grandparents even, but a significant other, not in these disloyal these disloyal, unstable times will I never. So I thought when I saw this article pop up that this was going to be very interesting to read about, and that he did this because people are like already losing their shit over the fact that she's gotten pregnant by him and she's not married to him. She has two kids by two other guys. She's basically already a baby mama or a single mother, and of course a lot of people are not going to call her baby mama because she's not a dark-skinned black woman. Because I actually didn't even know she had other kids. I knew she had like one child, and he's actually 21, 1 year younger than her now boyfriend, I guess, if that's a boyfriend. And I just don't hear people talking shit about her like they would a typical black, especially dark skinned black single mother. I feel like I would have definitely heard more vitriol, heard more different things. The main thing I've heard about this union is that he is young and she's like 39, so she's victimizing him, which I think is extremely asinine to say for a grown ass 22-year-old man. And this is coming from a mother who has a 19-year-old son and a 17-year-old son who will be 18 this year. They're grown men, trust me. At 18, going, especially if they're like at a maturity level, like my eldest was always like 10 years ahead of his time. He was always like 8 going on 18, or 12 going on 24. Like he was always ready to just be an adult and live his best life. And so depending on how these men move, especially this guy, he's got a lot of experience most likely. I mean, he's a basketball player. He plays for the NBA. So we can assume that he was a basketball player in school. And so he probably, and maybe college too, if he went to college. So women were literally throwing themselves at him. So this is no naive virgin here that we're dealing with. This is a man who's had a lot of experience with women. And I feel like he knows what he wants. And he wants Draya Michele. I mean, this is like this weird dynamic too that people don't talk about. Like how men go for the wrong women. And I'm not saying Draya Michelle's the wrong woman necessarily because I don't really know her. But just looking at her, I mean, she's clearly someone who's been around the block. Okay, she's got a certain reputation to be, kind of out there. And so this is the case where I would tell men that he should have chose better, right? Because he doesn't have any children. This is his first child with her. He didn't marry her first. He didn't find a woman who didn't have any kids and marry her and do it the quote unquote right way and build a life with her. He went for someone who's clearly been with a lot of men, most likely, and has two kids by two different men at minimum. So we know she's been with at least two other men, but just the way she carries herself, people can assume she has quite the sex history. She's got quite the roster. And for me, that doesn't bother me at all. But this is what males will typically say, especially to a dark-skinned black single woman who's a mother, that we've been ran through. We've hit the wall because we're 39. You're used goods because you already have children. You're a single mother, so you should be just accepting whatever a man's going to give you and not have any standards. And I think a lot of this is to shame women to feeling bad enough where we will just accept anything. And I think that someone who would say this to a woman is a predator. Because why would you be verbally abusive and putting women down? And it's also emotionally abusive if the woman cares enough. And so you're trying to put this woman down so that she can be at your dusty ass level and be with you. And it's because, you don't have shit. You're in your mama's basement. You're dusty as hell. You don't have a job. You've got your trash bags, as Cynthia G would say. and you're laying on your mattress on the floor. So, of course, you're going to have to look. And when we all know, let's keep it real, a lot of single black mothers are very successful. We see the data, we see the college degrees, we see that we're out earning our men. So a lot of times, especially when you have a child or children even, you're going to work that much harder because now you have to provide for a small person and this person that you brought into the world. You're feeling that obligation, that duty to them, which you should. So I feel like a lot of males are trying to make single mothers feel bad so that they can have a place to stay. So they can have an end. They're basically trying to tell us, like, please don't have standards and boundaries and have high standards. I mean, especially high standards, ladies, because we don't want dust around our children. They could be pedophiles or just broke creeps who are leeching off of us, taking resources from our child/children. But they basically, these males, basically male predators, basically want us to feel like we're not worthy of having a man like Jalen Green, who has no children, who's a millionaire most likely, or multimillionaire even, or has the potential to become a multimillionaire/billionaire. And these males who are dusty as hell, who know they'll never be on the level of a Russell Wilson or a Jalen Green, they don't want single black mothers getting this idea, or just single women, single mothers, period. They don't want us to be getting ideas and thinking that, one, that we can have a child with the man and not bind ourselves to this male to be in servitude to him for the rest of our lives, just because we had their child. So they're like, how dare you have children freely and then still be going on to date other men and having children with them too, God forbid. So now, from what I read with Michele, she actually has children with different men. I think one of them is another athlete. So she's already getting a check from that guy. And then she has, I'm trying to think. The other, I don't know what the other guy does, but she has 2 baby daddies. So let's just assume, with her, a woman of her caliber, she's definitely a preference, light skinned, looking ambiguous. I don't know what she's mixed with or if she's mixed at all, but she's light skinned. And she is having, I guess, long hair. And she's really like small, like skinny, I guess you would say. So, she's a lot of men's preference, white, black, orange, yellow. And so she's not hurting for men. And the caliber men that she can have, they usually will have money, because typically if a woman has the looks, she can have any man she wants. It doesn't matter how many kids she has with different men, how many times she hasn't been married or been married. Like no one cares, because guys are very visual creatures. And so they can be online all day talking about like what they won't date or what men shouldn't be with. But it's like they're literally just trying to make sure they will have access to this woman. So, and I mean this, I'm saying this one, but it really mean like any single mother that whatever their preference is, they want to have access. And that's what men, all they do is focusing on, is trying to make sure they have access to the women they want to be with. And you honestly can tell the women they want to be with, because those are the women they're usually going to be trying to put down. As backwards as that sounds, it kind of reminds me of like in grade school, where the boy that was mean to you, he actually was the one that liked you. And it is giving an abusive relationship. So I'm not going to say, I don't say for a minute that's warm and fuzzy, because it's not. But that's what's happening there. It's like, if you don't want to even be with us, then why are you talking about us? Like, why are we even on your radar? I can't imagine talking about a group of men that I had no intention of ever dating in life. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like, okay, like, that's like me saying, like, getting online and saying, I'm not going to date an 80-year-old man. And then creating a whole video about like how I'm not dating 80-year-old men and why I'm not going to date an 80-year-old guy and up. Like, you better not be 80 plus years old, because you're old and you're awful and you're this and you're that. And I'm just talking all this shit about them. Why would I do that? Like, if I have no real desire to date these men, why would I do that? That's weird. What would be the point of that? Now, wouldn't it make more sense if I did that because I want to make sure 80-year-old men felt bad enough that they would date me? So I'm bringing attention to myself, saying, hey, I would never date an 80-year-old guy and up. Like, you can't be 80 plus years old. I would never. you might as well just accept what you can get, because I would never, ladies, don't date these old men, and it's obvious, like, you're obsessed. You're jealous, you're obsessed, you're fiending for us. Like, this male that made this video, I'm gonna show you all, like, the comment section, women were just like I'm assuming they're black single moms too, but they were just like, if you don't want to date a single mother, just leave us alone. Like, if you're thinking like we're used goods or we should just accept whatever, then just go away under your rock. Like, we literally we're never thinking about you till I just happened to come across this video. You were not a thought. And even after the video is over, you were no longer a thought again. So why? What's the point of this? And it has to be because you want to have access to these women. You're either bitter because you tried to talk to a black single mom and she didn't give you the fucking time of day, and you thought, how dare she, with your ego, that she, deny me access to her, or decline on me, or whatever, or reject me, God forbid, because you're supposed to be God's gift, and you're just completely so angry with male aggression and attitude that now you're making a video talking about why you shouldn't date single mothers. It's no one's business. You can make a million videos. Men are very self-serving, so they're going to date and be with what they want to be with. It's kind of like when black males used to run around the internet and talk about like what white men don't want, and white men would be like, why are you speaking for us? Like, you don't know what I'm going to date, like what I want to date. Like, the most powerful men in the world, clearly, like, if they want to date black women, they can. They don't need permission from black males. So it's like, just leave people alone. If you don't want to date a black single mother, don't date a black single mother. It's okay. It's okay. And the funny thing is, a lot of black single moms, myself included, we don't date males typically who don't have any kids. Like, you're not our preference either. Like, if you're childless as a male, you're not our preference. I'm so sorry for you. Because I'm nicer than you, I'm actually going to feel sorry for you and say that, because I'm going to give you some pity, because I just don't date men who don't have children. You are not anywhere on my list of what I'm wanting to date. Nowhere near. Nowhere. Like, not even a thought. Not a thought in hell. And the irony is, when I was younger and I had just my one child, I still had the same, standards and boundaries and preference and what do you call it, criteria for when I dated. And men would literally get mad at me. Like, these are single men who didn't have any kids, and they would just get so angry. Like, why don't you give me a chance? One, because you're an angry bird, and I'm just not about to like put myself and my child in that dysfunction. But two, because I don't feel like you understand what it's like to be a parent. And I've seen men say it correctly in other videos that you have to get it. Like, my child has to come first, because he's relying on me for his livelihood. So I can't and I won't be putting a grown man first. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, like, when you love being a mother, you're not really trying to give a guy all that time. Like, you're really just focusing on your children. So if he doesn't understand that and he's trying to compete with your kids, like, that's not going to end well. Like, that's never going to end well for that guy, or vice versa. If it's a single father with a woman with no kids, like, we're picking the kids. I mean, we all know, right? The kids are going to win, okay? And so I think that's why a lot of single people with no children will get online and be angry and talking about how they don't want to date a single dad, or how they're never going to date a single woman again, or a single mother. Sorry, they're never going to date a single mother again. They're never going to date a single dad again, or don't date single men and, single mothers and single fathers, because they had a bad experience. They tried it and they thought they were special enough, because before you have children, in America especially, there's really nothing that tells you how to be an adult. No requirements. There's no mandates, nothing. You just turn 18 and suddenly you're an adult. So a lot of people, what I've noticed in my own experience and my observations of life, just life experience, that a lot of people do not really grow up until they have children, especially until they have more than one child. If you have one child, to me, it's still kind of like you're running into almost the same dynamic as the people with no kids, because it's not really hard to raise like one kid. It's fairly simple, and that's why a lot of people just stop at one. But once you might have more than one, like 2, 3 kids, and it's like, now I got to really grow up, step my game up, and act like I have some sense so I can keep these kids alive and feed them and, protect them, keep them a roof over their head, food in their stomachs, clothes on their back, all the necessities of life, and then some. So to think you're going to come in with your little selfish self and think you're about to be hogging up people's time, like this person doesn't have a child that came before you, and especially, God forbid, obviously the child came before you and it's not the child you have with this person, and this is someone you're really liking, might even love this person, and they have a child with another woman or another man who you're now looking at as competition. Like, there's all that no one's talking about. Like, they're not wanting to compete or feel insecure or be compared, or feeling like they're being compared. Even if they're not being compared, they're going to feel like they're being compared to like their other person. And especially the fact that other person shares a child with your person, the person you're trying to be with. There's a lot of insecurity going on there, and jealousy. And then factor in yourself. You're pretty selfish because you don't have any children, mainly. And so, not to say that everyone has children are not selfish, but you're probably even more selfish because you don't have children. So you've never had to think about anybody but yourself, which is nothing wrong with that. But then you're going to factor that in and be like, I want more of your time. And the average adult has to go to work for like 8 hours out of the day, not even including the commutes. That could be about an hour long there and back each time, each direction. But then you have the child. And of course, if you have more than one child, it's even more time you're having to spend with them to do their homework, go to parent-teacher conferences, go to their recitals and stuff. So if you're not like a secure person who doesn't get jealous, who has a life of their own, like, you're going to struggle. If you're the type that has to be clingy and up under your man, my man, I can just see you on that in my head. But if you need to be up under your woman 24/7, and that's how you feel loved, is you need to be constantly affirmed and validated, a single parent probably won't be for you. I've seen men who actually, when they get their child, they won't even have the woman coming over for like that weekend that they have their child. And I feel like even I would feel some type of way, like, wow, okay, like, your child, like, that important. But that was when I was younger. That's why I can say this, because I've lived these experiences and I understand it. I was not always a mom either. And I would date guys who had children, so I know what that's like. And you do feel some type of way, but it's like, also, you're not old enough, and you're not a parent, so you can't even fathom how important that time is between the father and their child to have, because he doesn't have the child all week. So it's like, yeah, it kind of sucks, because like when he finally does have a weekend, like you're both working and you probably just have that weekend, but now he's got the kid like 2 weekends out of the month, and he's like, well, now, so the time just gets withered away. And so, yeah, you definitely have to be willing to put up with that. But technically, like, that would be the person that's like a good person for you. Because if you're dating someone who has children and they just have all this time, you'd have to wonder why. Like, are you being a good parent? Do you ever see your child? Where are your kids? And that's not someone I would want to date personally, but that's me. Because I feel like if you're not going to take care of your other kids, how do I know if we had children together, you'd be taking care of them, or that you'd be in their lives? And so that's things I would be paying attention to. But that's why it's just easier, even though my ex-husband, when I met him, he didn't have any children, but he was like very patient, very different type of person. He wasn't clingy, very secure in himself, loved children, still loves children. He was just amazing. He was amazing. And I knew this was going to be a great husband and great person for my child, because he just loved him so much. So I was blessed to find him, but of course, like the angry birds online, the incel males would be like, "Oh, he shouldn't have got with you." Like he's a quintessential guy. He's a Russell Wilson and a Jalen Green that they would say should not have married me. And you know, even when we've gone on to have more children together, like Sierra, they're still like angry, and it's so strange the vitriol that a Russell Wilson would get versus a Future who's making a bunch of single moms everywhere and broken homes all over the place. Russell Wilson is the quintessential epitome of manhood. I mean, he's married to the mother of his children. He is providing a home, a roof over their head. He's a provider. He protects them. Sierra looks happy and loved, and they're popping out babies left and right. So I'm thinking things are going pretty well over there in that house. And some guy yesterday on the Themis live chat was saying that, well, just more weak excuses, but he was claiming that males don't like dating single mothers because they're like, well, what about, your legacy? And their dusty ass. Here we go with their dusty legacy again. But he's like, what about the legacy? Because, I mean, that's someone else's child. That's his father. So he's going to be disrespecting you. And Themis had amazing rebuttals, like always. And he was like, I know people who disrespect their biological parents. Like if you're a deadbeat dad, that's disrespect, okay? Or if you were like kind of absent in their lives, like an absentee parent who maybe missed a good chunk of their lives, or you could really be anything. You could have been there the whole time, and the kids just don't like you, or they're just wanting to do what they want to do, and they don't like you're trying to stop them from doing what they want to do. So now they're cussing you out or calling you names or whatever. There are so many ways, like, that just didn't make any sense because, like, in my situation, my biological father wasn't in my life. We did not go to his funeral. He died alone. My sister and brother did not go either to his funeral. And we just weren't present, and we don't care because, like, where were you at for so many 60 years, 40, 50 years or whatever? And, but my stepdad, who of course I only call my dad, he is everything to me. Like, he better not die because I'm a daddy's little girl, so he can never go away. But, I don't even like to think about that for him because I don't want him to go anywhere. I used to think like I was not going to even hear that my bio sperm donor had passed away because that's how much he just wasn't a part of our lives. But it just so happened I had just met found my cousin on Ancestry.com like shortly before I found out my father passed away. His brother, my uncle, got in touch with us through his daughter, who was the cousin I found on Ancestry.com. So it's like everything just kind of fell into place where that's how I happened to hear. And we probably would have heard from the state or something at some point because we were his heirs to his property that was not really much of anything. But we were heirs to his property, and so we had to settle, like my sister became the executor. But anyways, it's a long story. So my point is I've never respected my bio sperm donor. I usually call him my bio dad just for short. And I called him Ronald the whole time he was alive. Like I called him by his first name. I never called him dad because he wasn't a dad to me. He wasn't a father to me. So children can definitely be very disrespectful to their own biological parent if they feel like it. And then you have me. I feel like my legacy is from my stepdad and my mom because they're the ones who raised me. So when I'm doing things in life, it's to honor them because they're my parents. Like that's my mom and my dad. So that doesn't really fall. And I know a lot of families, like there's a lot of blended families like that. And so you can't necessarily say that Future's son is going to even like Future because Future is shaking and moving and shaking and moving. I mean, he's dipping and dapping. I mean, he's all over the place making babies. How much time does he really have for little Future? Like even before he had Future, he had a lot of other kids, and no one, like the guys, the incel Angry Birds, like they're totally okay with this. That they never mentioned like how he has all these children, and then he went and had a child with Sierra. Like you should, common sense, or anybody with any kind of maturity and lack of jealousy would say that's great that Future was able to find a stable family and home to be in, because Sierra could be a single mom, and Future not really having a father, because big Future is like never around. He's every time I turn around, he's having another baby with another woman somewhere and in a different state, somewhere else. And it's like, how, like a Nick Cannon, how can you divide all your time up amongst these babies when they're with their mothers in all these different states and area codes? So yeah, I'm happy that Sierra found Russell Wilson to give them a stable life, to give, Future some ideal of what a normal life should look like with a family, and his dad not being here, there, everywhere, giving him more and more siblings that he's probably never even met. And that's just so much more irresponsible than what Russell Wilson could ever do. And they just do not let up. And it's been how long? Sarah and Russell Wilson have now had like their third or fourth child together, like biological child. And they're still talking about like, oh, he's a simp, he's this. I think it's weird too, because I'm like, why do you care? It's not your money. And the only thing I think is they're so afraid that like men will catch on and start not feeling shame in dating a single mom, if they feel shame anyway. Because I don't think a lot of guys really do care. Like if they want to date you, they don't care how many kids you have. I'm telling you right now, they really don't. Men want what they want. So I mean, to be honest, it's kind of fake news. Like the guys who are claiming they don't date single mothers probably do. They lie so much online. Or they are somebody that a single mom would probably not even want to be with anyway, because he doesn't have money, or he's not attractive, or he's just immature, very low emotional intelligence, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of factors to that. It's just a strange situation. Like, why? It's weird. And it's like we're trying to shame black males. You're just black guys because they're broke. But it's like we're trying to shame males into like not dating this group of women, because we don't want to see her coming up. And I would give this as an example of pocket watching. I mean, it's just really not your business who people are having children with. And it's just not your business. And then for the other group of people that I saw that were outraged or fake outrage about this situation, were women who were agreeing with some of the incels and saying that he's this victim. You're not 22 years old as a big ass NBA player, male who has male privilege of being in a patriarchal society. Victim, you're just not a victim. But yeah, the other group are women who are infantilizing, which we see this a lot in the black community, this grown ass man, and saying that he's a victim. And I can attest to this as a mother of all sons, and one of them being almost 20 years old. This grown man who's an NBA star is no victim. He knew exactly what he wanted and he went after it. Now, is he possibly... I actually don't even think he could be manipulated, to be honest. I think he probably has just as much sexual experience as she does. I just feel like males begin their predatory behavior towards women at a young age while they're still... But yeah, I can attest to a man, my son being a grown man and being almost 20 years old, that the males start their predatory behavior with women at a very young age from girls. And I've actually seen boys who were getting with older women, just like how sometimes you see young, like teenage girls dating older men. So I feel like, you may not know everything under the sun, but who does, really? But I think he is experienced enough to know what he's doing, knows what he wants, and he could have wrapped it up or got a vasectomy. So I just don't see how people are acting like she seduced him or something, but I'm like, that really could happen at any age. And for someone in his position where he probably has women being thrown at him left and right, he should have enough experience to know when he's being manipulated, because I'm pretty sure most of the women that's coming towards him are not coming towards him because he has a great personality. So let's go ahead and read this really quickly. And it says it appears that Jalen Green has marked his love for Draya and Michele in a special way. It's no secret that the internet never sleeps. So when the Rockets player recently posted a shirtless photo of himself on his Instagram story, social media users quickly went to work. It took no time to spot a tattoo of Michelle's first name on Green's lower abdomen, as reported by Page 6. The timing of the tattoo discovery comes on the heels of Michelle's pregnancy announcement when she shared she was 28 weeks pregnant with Green's child. This will mark the athlete's first child with Michele, who is already mom to two sons. She has a 21-year-old son named Kniko, and they didn't name the father, so I'm assuming he's not famous or rich or anything. Who knows? And then it also says she also shares a son, Drew, age 7, with former NFL star Orlando Scandrick. So while some people flooded her with well wishes in the comment section, others criticized her relationship with Green 22, as reported by the outlet. Get comfortable. So she, I guess, wrote, get comfortable being misunderstood. Only a fraction of people will be able to truly grasp your essence. You are not on anyone else's timeline of comprehension, she wrote in her Instagram story. And so here she's writing on her post that she has of her being pregnant. Why do I feel like I've seen these pictures before? What if it works out? So maybe she's feeling hopeful too. So here it says, Happy International Women's Day. As women, we navigate through so much, often leading us to question, what is my purpose? For me, the magic lies in motherhood and the awe-inspiring ability to bring life into this world over the span of 2 decades is my superpower. And if anything could surpass the wonder of being a woman, it's the privilege of bringing another woman into existence. We are overjoyed to share our love for you, little girl. I am excited to speak words to the daughter I never thought I'd have. We are anxious about your arrival. But take your time. This world can be tough. But know you are being brought into a space of love, security, and adornment. Hashtag 28 weeks. Hashtag 7 months. Hashtag coming May 2024. Hashtag girl mom. So she's actually a boy and girl mom because she has 2 boys first. I don't even know how that works. Like I said, I only have one gender of children. But anyways. So I say congratulations to the both of them. I'm happy for them. I don't really know them and don't follow them. But I feel like babies are meant to be here. I think anyone who is here on this planet did sign a soul contract with God, and that's why you're here. So this baby's meant to be here just like any other child. And the way I look at it too is like, she's pregnant now, like, what is she gonna do? Put it back? Like, the baby's a blessing. The baby's here, and let's take care of the baby. I think some women are actually also jealous because she is a single mother and she was able to, quote unquote, bag Jalen Green, or like catch, like have, like be with him, be in a relationship with him. This goes against like it's like something else that we definitely have to talk about, the dynamic of like how women treat other women and shame other women, which I think it needs to stop. And I feel like, one, they're going to shame her for not being married to him first. They're going to shame her for being a single mom, and they're going to shame her for being a single mom of 2 kids already. They're going to shame her for being a single mom of 2 kids who are by different men. They want to shame her for being way older than him. Like, the shame. And I think that's where the women's fake outrage stems from, is that how dare she be able to get a rich man. I mean, these men honestly pass these women around. And maybe the women passing the men around. This is 2024, so people really have to start looking at things from a new, evolved perspective and stop living in the Stone Age. But these people are just kind of running these circles together. They all have the money. They're building wealth together, because as long as you're like kind of dating the same people, the money's staying in the family, essentially. And that's why I tell people, like, why polyamory should just be a thing that we're doing, because everyone's already doing it. And I feel like the real benefit of a polyamory situation would be, like, a polyamory family is, to me, quite intriguing, because I like the ideal of like the stability of it. And I feel like people can look down all day long, because most of us grew up in the church. So a lot of people are very judgmental, even though the church has no place trying to tell people what they can and can't do, because they be doing way too much on a regular basis. But I feel like I'd rather a single mother being in a polyamory family where she can have other partners, he can have other partners, and then all the partners are building together, Like, if, as long as it's like a real polyamory, just like with polygamy and polyandry, like it's a family unit, you still need to be committed to this unit, in this agreement. And I think that that would be better, like, because we always say it takes a village, right? So, I mean, I feel like that would be better for a single mother because she does have more protection. She is more financially secure and stable. And she also has more help with her child slash children. And so it's so beneficial. It's not even crazy, but it's like people are so stuck on owning another human being that they can't see the forest for the trees. They cannot see anything but red, and they're just like really so possessive. They cannot imagine, like this woman saying, I don't share, but she probably is sharing already. It's just not in an ethical way because she doesn't know she's sharing. He's basically probably cheating on her and sneaking around, and that's how people start bringing stuff back to people because they had to sneak. And it's like nothing's really out in the open, so you can't have these conversations. You can't be doing the right things to keep yourself safe during the whole process, and you're not really building either because he's just like dipping and diving over there, and then coming back home from his side piece's house or whatever you want to call her, or she's doing that with him and coming home from her side piece, her side man, or whatever. And so it's like there's no building. But like if you all knew about each other and everybody was just working together, it's like we could be building like an entire empire here because the money, we like being a lot more focused and intentional with how we're making moves. And I would say, because this woman yesterday asked me if I was in a polyamory situation, and I actually feel like it definitely threatens women and intimidates women. I wouldn't say I was in one because I'm not actually having sex with anybody that I'm attached to right now. I guess you would call it an attachment, but I feel like it's close to one just because I live with my ex-husband and then I still co-parent with my younger kid's father. But we're not really technically saying we're in a relationship, but I kind of like want use it as an example to give people an idea of what the dynamic can look like and what the benefits can be for your children and yourself. So it's like I'm in a home where I feel safe and secure, and it's financially secure and just protected. And then at the same time, I still have the support of my other kid's father, who also financially supports us and make sure that our sons have what they need and that we're safe as well. And then he has like his own assets or whatever that he's building, and so does my older kid's father. So those are things that I would be benefiting from. And there's another video I had to talk about with that, but I'm just gonna have to really be vulnerable and break that stuff down because I feel like people really need to start to have that conversation and stop trying to cling to this fairy tale that's not really realistic. Because we've just seen way too many people like it just fail. How many people have we seen who thought oh, they were couples goals or marriage goals or relationship goals, and then you just find out later like the marriage was like a hot mess. And even if we keep saying it over and over and over, and we've seen it growing up with our father cheating on our mother or beating our mother or whatever, we just keep pressing on for that unicorn. And I can't tell you what to do. Like I literally just like, you can do what you want. I'm already doing what I want. So do what you want, but I'm not going to not talk about it because I definitely think it is something that would benefit the Black community, and it's something we're already doing. I think it would actually save lives. It would keep people from killing each other and doing these crazy things because they're finding out that they've been lied to. And so they're like reacting in these violent ways instead of someone coming and just saying like, this is what we're like, let's talk about it and see if we can agree to come to some agreement or whatever. And just being more mature about it, emotionally mature. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to make a whole video on that by itself because it's a lot to cover. But anyway, so let me know what you all think about Jalen Green being with Draya and Michele. I think that they are in love with each other, and where we don't really know much about love in America, but they might think they're in love. They're having a baby together. She seems hopeful. He seems into her. He's getting her name tattooed on him, which is pretty a pretty permanent thing. And I'm happy for them. You know, good looking couple, having a little bun in the oven. They definitely have the finances for it, so the babies are not going to be hurting. And like the article said, this is his first child, so they shouldn't be really struggling. Her other child she has is like a grown man, and then she has a 7-year-old. So these are like different variables that people also don't talk about when they talk about single mothers, especially Black single moms, or just single moms in general. If they want to hate on us, they'll act like the baby's going to be a baby forever, instead of one day he's 21 and moving out of the house, doesn't even live there. But then also on top of that, bringing back value that he already brought to the house, but more like financial value to the home. I guess he goes out into the world, or she goes out into the world, and creates a life for themselves. And they never want to get to that part of the story. They just want to pretend that your child's going to be an infant for 100 million years, and that you're going to be having them attached to your breast until you're like 80, 90 years old. So it's really weird. But anyway, so make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.